drug for gout. So on the last turn, we have covered the osteoarthritis. So the very first question is, what is the difference between the osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis? Osteoarthritis, I told you that it is a degenerative condition. So it is a non-inflammatory type of arthritis, which is most commonly seen with growing age. But in contrast to the osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, it is an inflammatory autoimmune condition which hit at any age. Even the young person can also affect with the rheumatoid arthritis. So this is the pictorial representation of the three types of disease in the two type of disease in comparison to normal joint. So this one is the normal joint where the bone is well functioning and it is covered by the cartilage. There is no inflammation. Whole of the joint is lubricated by the synovial fluid, and then this yellow one is the synovial membrane, and it is well in place. What happened in osteoarthritis? It is a degenerative disease. It is a degenerative disease and it leads to the degeneration of the cartilage. So there is no cartilage in between the bone, and as a result of which two bones rubs to each other and it causes pain. In case of rheumatoid arthritis, there is a cartilage is present between the two bones, but the synovial membrane is inflamed, as a result of which various inflammatory markers are secreted out and it causes the erosion of the bone. So this is the difference between the normal and the various type of arthritic joints. The one major classical feature of the rheumatoid arthritis that the person who is suffering with the rheumatoid arthritis will give you the history कि जैसे ही मैं सो के उठता हूँ मेरे जो सारे जॉइंट्स हैं उनमें बहुत दर्द रहता है, बहुत ही वो स्टिफ रहते हैं, वो खुलते नहीं है, बट धीरे धीरे जैसे मैं अपने डेली के रूटीन वर्क करता हूँ वैसे वैसे जो जॉइंट्स हैं उनमें मूवमेंट इंप्रूव हो जाता है. दिस इज अ वेरी क्लासिकल हिस्ट्री फॉर द rheumatoid arthritis. Now coming to the introduction, it is the commonest inflammatory joint disease. I am repeating again, osteoarthritis is not an inflammatory disease, it is a degenerative disease, whereas rheumatoid arthritis is a inflammatory joint disease. So it's the commonest inflammatory joint disease seen in clinical practice, affecting approximately 1% of the population. Just a minute. So it's the commonest inflammatory joint disease in clinical practice that affect approximately 1% of the population. See here, अगर आप 1% देखते हो ना तो बहुत कम लगता है, but if you include the whole world population और उसका 1% निकालोगे, then you can feel the intensity of the problem. Then it is characterized by the persistent inflammatory synovitis. So there is a synovial membrane inflammation that leading to the cartilage damage, bone erosion, joint deformity and disability. It is environmental factors and the genetic factor, particularly individuals who have HLA-DR B104 gene are more susceptible for the development of the rheumatoid arthritis. Then rheumatoid arthritis can be present at any age, but most commonly it affects to the 3rd to 6th decade of the life. Again, in rheumatoid arthritis also, females are more affected as compared to the male. The ratio is 3:1. तो मोस्टली जो rheumatoid arthritis की पेशेंट होते हैं वो उसका आप ऐसे रख सकते हो कि एक यंग फीमेल लेडी came to you with the complaint of pain in hands. And that pain or the stiffness of the joint is maximum when she wake up and gradually it faded off. So that's the classical picture of the patient who is suffering with the rheumatoid arthritis. So coming to the pathophysiology, what happened in rheumatoid arthritis? There is a formation of rheumatoid factor. What is rheumatoid factor? Rheumatoid factor is an antibody against the Fc portion of immunoglobulin G. I'm repeating again. वैसे मैं coming slides में I will discuss again rheumatoid arthritis factor. So rheumatoid factor is the antibody against the Fc portion of immunoglobulin G. This rheumatoid factor can be anything. It can be immunoglobulin M, immunoglobulin G, anything. Now what happened? This supposedly this ये आपकी antibody है और ये आपकी immunoglobulin G antibody है. ये आपका rheumatoid factor है ऊपर वाला. अब क्या होगा? ये Fc portion of the immunoglobulin के अगेंस्ट बना है, तो ये rheumatoid factor आके इस जो immunoglobulin G है उससे बाइंड कर जाएगा. जब ये बाइंड कर जाएगा तो क्या होगा? जो macrophages है, these get activated. Once the macrophages get activated, what happens? Various cytokines has released, and these cytokines produce different action. The very first one, it secreted the tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin 6. So it causes the stimulation of the T cell, and this stimulation of the T cell leads to the matrix degradation. Then on the other hand, the same cytokines also stimulate the B lymphocyte, which further form the antibody and further aggravate the situation. Then they also stimulate the fibroblasts like synovitis, which releases metalloproteinases. These metalloproteinases, I already told you in osteoarthritis also, that this causes matrix degeneration, bone erosion, etc. Other than this, these macrophages releases interleukin 1 and granulocyte, monocyte, colony stimulating factor, etc., which stimulate neutrophil formation and the osteoclast formation. You know, osteoclast causes bone destruction, and neutrophil further secreted the metalloproteinase. So the drugs which we will read, most of them, they are acting on them by inhibiting these cytokines. Now coming to the clinical features of the rheumatoid arthritis. It can be articular and it can be extra-articular. Articular, which involves the joint, and extra-articular other than the joint involvement symptoms. So articular features, there is a pain, swelling and stiffness of the peripheral joint. This one, see. ठीक है, most commonly involved hands, so that's why I give you the example of young female, क्योंकि female में ज्यादा होता है, comes to your OPD with the complaint of hand joint involved, pain in the hand, तो mostly joints involved होते हैं, and she gave the history that the stiffness of the joint is very much during the early hours of after waking up, and then it gradually subsides. So pain, swelling and stiffness of the peripheral joint, then stiffness usually lasts for 1 hour before maximal improvement in the morning. Then hand involvement is the typical early manifestation of the rheumatoid arthritis. And then distal, अब कौन से joint involved नहीं होते, although ये medicine के part of view से important है, but MCQ में तो कुछ भी आ सकता है. So क्या हो गया rheumatoid arthritis को, संजीव कुमार? rheumatoid arthritis को हुआ क्या? Distal interphalangeal joint, sacroiliac joint and lumbar spine are rarely involved. If you see closely, here I use the word peripheral joint, and here कौन से joint नहीं involved होते? Sacroiliac भी एक तरह से central joint है, lumbar spine भी आपका central joint है. So these are joints are usually spared, as well as distal interphalangeal joint. अगर इन pictures में देखोगे proximal involved है, distal interphalangeal joint is not involved in all the 3 pictures. Now, extra-articular involvement, it involves the constitutional symptoms like fever, malaise, anorexia, fatigue. These are the constitutional symptoms which are most commonly seen. Then rheumatoid nodules present in 30% of the individual. Hematologically, you can find normocytic, normochromic anemia, thrombocytosis, leukocytosis, and Felty syndrome. Felty syndrome is the type of syndrome in which the rheumatoid arthritis is usually associated with the splenomegaly and the neutropenia. Rheumatoid factor, it is an antibody that recognizes the Fc portion of the immunoglobulin G. It can be immunoglobulin M, immunoglobulin G or A. 85% of the patients who have rheumatoid arthritis are rheumatoid factor positive, but The presence of rheumatoid factor is not mandatory for rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis. You can diagnose the rheumatoid arthritis even the patient is rheumatoid factor negative. But yes, it has prognostic value. Patient who have high rheumatoid factor, they have poor prognosis and more extraarticular manifestations. Then American College of Rheumatology gave the criteria in 1987 to diagnose the rheumatoid arthritis. This criteria give the 7 points, and if 4 or more than 4 are positive in patient, then the patient is diagnosed to have a rheumatoid arthritis. The very first one is the morning stiffness more than 1 hour, arthritis of 3 joint observed by the physician simultaneously, which involve right and left, proximal interphalangeal joint, metacarpophalangeal joint, wrist, elbow, knee, ankle, arthritis of the hand joint, symmetrical arthritis, rheumatoid nodules, positive rheumatoid factor, and radiographic erosion or periarticular osteopenia in hands or wrist joints. So there are the 7 points, out of which 4 or more than 4 if present in a patient, then you can diagnose him or her as a patient of rheumatoid arthritis. Now, before going to the treatment part, till now I am covering the just general part and the medicine part. Now I am going to the treatment part. If you have any difficulty till now, you can ask. Otherwise, I will move on. Okay, then move. So what is the current aim of the treatment? The purpose of the treatment is slow the rate of disease progression. And here we want to give you the emphasis in the osteoarthritis. We were also trying to slow the rate of the disease progression. We had discovered one drug, diacerin also, but the clinical efficacy of the drug has not proved. So currently in the osteoarthritis, we do not have any drug which modify the progression of the disease. But fortunately, in case of rheumatoid arthritis, we have the drug which reduce the rate of progression of the disease, and these drugs are known as DMARDs, disease modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. Then the other purpose of the treatment is control inflammation and the pain and design the appropriate cost-effective treatment regime with least ADR for each patient. Now coming to the 5 principles of the treatment. So as soon as the diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis has made, start giving the DMARDs. DMARDs most commonly, methotrexate is the best initial treatment. Disease activity should be regularly monitored. And once you have found that the patient has no recovery on DMARDs, में 2 types के होते हैं, conventional and biological. So we will only add biological DMARDs when conventional DMARDs do not show any effect on the disease. And among the conventional DMARDs, methotrexate must be the one. Then remission or the low disease activity are the preferred treatment target. So these are the 5 principles of the treatment. Now, पेशेंट आया, पेन और स्वेलिंग के लिए आपने नॉन स्टेरॉइडल एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी ड्रग्स देंगे. यू कैन गिव कॉक्सिब आल्सो. कॉक्सिब और सेलेक्टिव COX-2 inhibitor. They reduce the pain and swelling by inhibiting the COX, but they do not alter the course of the disease. So to reduce the pain and the inflammation, you can give, but the main purpose is to reduce the progression of the disease. Otherwise, the disease is make the person very disabled. Chronic use should be minimized because you all know that NSAID is associated with the problem of the GI tract, that is gastric ulcer, duodenal ulcer, gastritis, etc. So start with the low dose, try to minimize the use of the NSAID. Then corticosteroid. Corticosteroid you can give by both the route, systemic and intra-articular. And intra-articular के इतना वो नहीं है, नुकसान नहीं है, but systemic, yes, definitely. But there are certain indications where we prefer the systemic steroid. And these are in case of rheumatoid arthritis flare-up, extra-articular rheumatoid arthritis like rheumatoid vasculitis and interstitial lung disease. देन हम आगे पढ़ेंगे, जो DMARDs होते हैं उनका एक्शन एकदम नहीं आता है, उनका एक्शन आने में ना 5 से 6 महीने लग जाते हैं. So DMARDs show their action after 4 or 6 months. So meanwhile we want to control the disease so that it would not flare up or it would not increase. So what we do, we add Methotrexate we will start as soon as the diagnosis, but along with the methotrexate we will give the corticosteroid plus NSAID. उसका क्या पर्पस है कि जो पेन है, डिजीज प्रोग्रेशन है वो रुका रहेगा एंड ग्रेजुअली methotrexate का इफेक्ट आ जाएगा और आप corticosteroid की डोज को कम करते चले जाओगे एंड दिस इज नोन एज द ब्रिज थेरेपी. सो for 6 to 8 weeks before the action of DMARDs begin. Sometimes DMARDs are mostly contraindicated in case of pregnancy. So sometime in pregnancy, you can give corticosteroid over the DMARDs. Now coming, what are the DMARDs? These are the drugs which are known as disease-modifying anti-rheumatic agents. These are the drugs that actually alter the disease course and should be used as soon as the diagnosis is made. The very first drug which you added in the rheumatoid arthritis patient is the methotrexate. Appearance of benefit delayed for weeks to months because these are the drugs which prevent. मान लो पेशेंट शुरू में ही आ गया तो क्यों बिगाड़नी है उसकी हालत? तो सबसे पहले वो ड्रग दो जो उसको और मतलब उसकी कंडीशन को खराब ना करे और डिजीज को ना बढ़ाए. साथ में NSAIDs तो दे ही दोगे बट आपको डिजीज का प्रोग्रेशन रोकना है. And NSAID must be continue with them until true remission is achieved. भैया अपने रोल नंबर मत लिखा करो बीच बीच में. Now DMARDs again, DMARDs are two types, conventional DMARDs and the biological DMARDs. Among the conventional DMARDs, we have methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine, sulfasalazine, leflunomide. Then less commonly used DMARDs are chloroquine, gold, cyclosporin A, dipenicillamine, minocycline, azathioprine and cyclophosphamide. मैं जो भी यहाँ पर बोल रही हूँ सुनना क्योंकि DMARDs में से क्वेश्चन आएंगे एंड इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो सबसे पहले methotrexate. How does methotrexate act in the rheumatoid arthritis? Methotrexate act by increasing the extracellular adenosine level, and this increasing the extracellular adenosine is responsible for the anti-inflammatory and disease-modifying action of the rheumatoid arthritis. Now the question is, methotrexate is also used in the cancer. Yes, it is used. But the mechanism and the dose by which it acts in the cancer is far different as the mechanism and the dose which is used in rheumatoid arthritis. In cancer, we use a very large amount of the dose of the methotrexate, which is around 30 milligram daily. But in case of rheumatoid arthritis, we use very less amount of the dose, that is 7.5 milligram weekly. 7.5 milligram weekly. So there is a far difference between the two. Secondly, in rheumatoid arthritis, it acts by increasing the adenosine level, whereas in the cancer, it acts by inhibiting the folate metabolism, so that multiplication of the cell would be affected. In both the cases, methotrexate is hepatotoxic, so liver monitoring, liver function test monitoring is must required. It causes bone marrow suppression, so the bone marrow suppression to the anemia, thrombosis should be the one which should be start as soon as the diagnosis is made. Then hydroxychloroquine, the main problem with hydroxychloroquine is that it causes retinopathy. Okay. So take care of the retinopathy by subsequent monitoring of the retina. Then sulfasalazine, it is a prodrug. Sulfasalazine, it is a prodrug. It is divided, break into 5 amino salicylic acid, which can be written as 5-ASA plus sulfapyridine. The sulfapyridine is the active moiety in rheumatic disease, whereas 5-aminosalicylic acid is the important or the active moiety in case of ulcerative colitis. So sulfasalazine is the one which is used as a DMARD, as well as it is used for the treatment of ulcerative colitis as well. Then leflunomide. Leflunomide is the drug which acts by inhibiting the dihydroorotate dehydrogenase. I am repeating again, leflunomide is the drug which acts by inhibiting the dihydroorotate dehydrogenase, which is important for enzyme in case of pyrimidine metabolism. So it also decreases the recruitment of the inflammatory cell. Then chloroquine is the preferred DMARD in case of pregnancy. Gold by the parenteral or the oral route we used earlier, but nowadays because since we have better options and the gold has many side effects, so we do not use gold now right now. Then cyclosporin A, it is a immunosuppressant drug. D-penicillamine, it is a copper chelating agent. I'm repeating again, penicillamine is a copper chelating agent and it can be used, it is used in the Wilson disease. Then azathioprine, cyclophosphamide are also immunosuppressant agent. So whenever the patient of rheumatoid arthritis comes to you, add methotrexate as soon as possible. If the patient do not respond to the methotrexate, add some other conventional DMARD, that is methotrexate plus sulfasalazine. Even after that patient not respond, add the third conventional DMARD, which can be leflunomide or which can be hydroxychloroquine. So after this, मतलब methotrexate हो गया plus sulfasalazine plus leflunomide or hydroxychloroquine. So patient is on triple therapy. Even then patient not respond, then only go to the biological DMARD. Before that, there is no need to go to the biological DMARD. ध्यान से सुनना, मीथोट्रेक्सेट चलानी है, मीथोट्रेक्सेट के साथ स्टेरॉइड चला दो, वो तो चलाओगे क्योंकि ब्रिज थेरेपी है. उसके बाद नहीं, 6 महीने तक पेशेंट को देखा, पेशेंट को कोई असर नहीं आया, मीथोट्रेक्सेट प्लस स्टेरॉइड प्लस सल्फासेलाजिन, फिर देखा 6 महीने 3-4 महीने जो पेशेंट को कोई इफेक्ट नहीं आया, ट्रिपल थेरेपी करो. अब मीथोट्रेक्सेट, सल्फासेलाजिन प्लस लेफ्लोनोमाइड और हाइड्रोक्सीक्लोरोक्विन, अब भी कोई असर नहीं आया, देन ओनली यू विल गो टू द biologics or tumor necrosis factor alpha inhibitor. ओके, ट्रिपल थेरेपी की बात, ट्रिपल कन्वेंशनल डीमार्ड ऐड करने के बाद ही टीएनएफ अल्फा इनहिबिटर्स पे जाओगे, उससे पहले नहीं जाओ. Now that's the repetition. Hydroxychloroquine, I told you it causes retinopathy. Methotrexate, it particularly acts by increasing the adenosine, extracellular adenosine level, which is anti-inflammatory in nature. The dose is 7.5 to 25 milligram weekly. Okay, it is hepatotoxic. LFT monitoring is required. Bone marrow suppression. So blood count monitoring is also required. Sulfasalazine prodrug divided into sulfapyridine, 5-aminosalicylic acid. Sulfapyridine main moiety in case of rheumatoid arthritis. 5-aminosalicylic acid main moiety in ulcerative colitis. Leflunomide inhibit dihydroorotate dehydrogenase and hence inhibit the pyrimidine synthesis and cell recruitment. Then coming to the genus kinase inhibitors drugs. These are moderate to severely active rheumatoid arthritis not responding to methotrexate. This includes tofacitinib, baricitinib, upadacitinib. Name is very important. Genus kinase inhibitors ke. And how they act? They inhibit the inflammation and immune response. Since they also inhibit the immune response in general, so the chances of upper respiratory tract infection are high. Okay. Now the question is when to start DMARD. As soon as diagnosis made. How to select DMARD? There are no strict guidelines about which DMARD to start first in an individual. However, methotrexate has rapid onset of action than other DMARDs. So taking in account patient tolerance, cost consideration and ease of once weekly oral administration. This is very important part. एक हफ्ते में एक बारी खानी है तो compliance का कोई चक्कर नहीं है. Methotrexate is the DMARD of choice and most widely prescribed in the world. Now, should DMARD be used singly? This I told you already. Since single DMARD therapy is often only modestly effective, combination therapy as an inherent upgrade. Use DMARD with the NSAID or with the corticosteroid. DMARD combination is specifically effective if they include methotrexate as an anchor drug. Combination of methotrexate with leflunomide, दोनों अलग तरीके से act करती हैं, are synergistic since their mode of action is different. Now क्या limitation है? Late onset of action, मैंने आपसे कहा कि 6 महीने तक उसका effect ही नहीं आता है. Partial remission, थोड़े टाइम के लिए ठीक रहता है बंदा, जरा सी दवाई छोड़ी फिर से remission, मतलब फिर से relapse हो जाता है. बहुत ज्यादा toxicity है, लीवर खराब कर रही है. आधे लोग तो rheumatoid arthritis से methotrexate वाले लीवर फेलियर से ही मर जाते हैं. So there may be substantial toxicity which require careful monitoring. DMARD have a tendency to lose effectiveness with time. So these drawbacks stimulate the researchers to find out the alternative treatment strategies, and these are known as biological DMARDs or biologic response modifiers. So the biologics which we use, मैंने जब आपको pathophysiology discuss करी थी, I told you there are many cytokines which play important role in the key mediators of rheumatoid arthritis, like tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 110. So through the biologists we target these cytokines. So anti-TNF alpha agent, very important name, बिल्कुल याद रखना, infliximab, etanercept, adalimumab, certolizumab and golimumab. All are given by the subcutaneous route except infliximab. So I से I याद रख सकते हो, ये infusion की form में दिया जाता है, जबकि etanercept, adalimumab, certolizumab और golimumab, these are given by the subcutaneous route. And since these can reduce the immunity of the body, so these are the drugs which can activate the latent TB and can increase the chances of other infection as well. Then we have interleukin 1 receptor antagonist anakinra. We have interleukin 6 receptor antagonist tocilizumab and sarilumab. Sarilumab is the new drug which act as an interleukin 6 receptor antagonist, and tocilizumab, you have already heard its name in COVID, and it is the only drug which is approved for cytokine release syndrome. I am repeating again, tocilizumab is the only drug which is approved for cytokine release syndrome. Then we have anti-CD20 antibody rituximab. It decreases the proliferation of the B cell and hence decrease the production of the antibody. Then we have T cell co-stimulatory inhibitor abatacept that I will discuss in coming slide. So we have anti-tumor necrosis factor alpha, infliximab, etanercept, adalimumab. If you see closely, so all the contraindications of active infection, uncontrolled diabetes mellitus surgery, active infection and active infection. Again, infliximab IV infusion, etanercept subcutaneous, adalimumab subcutaneous. Then anakinra, interleukin 1 receptor, again subcutaneous, active infection में नहीं देनी है. Rituximab, tocilizumab, I have already told you. Abatacept, I will discuss. So this is the abatacept, which is a co-stimulation inhibitor. Normally what happens, T cell, antigen presenting cell binds with the T cell and T cell gets activated or proliferated, and then it releases to the various various inflammatory markers. तो शुरू में हमने बताया था ना आपको कि एंटीजन रूमेटॉइड फैक्टर जो है वो इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन जी एंटीबॉडी से बाइंड करता है, फिर वो मैक्रोफेज को एक्टिवेट करता है, मैक्रोफेज फिर आगे जाके टी सेल को एक्टिवेट करती है, टी सेल का प्रोलिफरेशन होता है एंड देन सब कहानी होती है. So for the binding of antigen presenting cell to the T cell, 2 receptors are required on the antigen presenting cell and 2 receptors are required on T cell. Whenever these 2 receptors combined with each other, then only there is an activation and proliferation of the inflammatory mediators. That is, MHC, major histocompatibility receptor, bind with the T cell receptor, and CD80-86 receptor bind with the CD28 receptor. अगर इन दोनों में से एक भी रिसेप्टर बाइंड नहीं करेगा, then T cell would not be activated. So what abatacept do? Abatacept is a fusion protein. Fusion protein मतलब दो चीजों से मिलाकर बना है. एक तो CTLA4 जो कि एक प्रोटीन है और एक इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन G1 जो कि एंटीबॉडी का एक पार्ट. इन दोनों से मिलाकर abatacept बनी है. What abatacept do? Abatacept bind to this CD80-86 receptor. अब क्या होगा, MHC तो T सेल रिसेप्टर से बाइंड कर जाएगा, बट ये CD28 जो है वो CD80 और /86 से बाइंड नहीं कर पाएगा. अगर वो उससे बाइंड नहीं करेगा तो T cell would not be get activated, and since T cell would not be activated, so there would be no proliferation and no release of the inflammatory mediator. So that's the concept behind the co-stimulation inhibitor abatacept. Now the question is, how long treatment should be continued? Once remission is achieved, maintenance dose for long period is recommended. Relapse occur in 3 to 5 months if the drug is discontinued. DMARDs are discontinued by the patient because of the toxicity or secondary failure. In such cases, change the DMARD to another DMARD. And if there is a disease flare up, then in that case, you increase the dose of the DMARD with short course of steroid. Then surgical procedure, we have spinovectomy for the wrist, we have total joint orthoplasties for the knee or hip joint, and in case of अगर there nerve entrapment वगैरह है, then carpal tunnel syndrome है, ये सब है, तो nerve entrapment is the choice. So that's all about the rheumatoid arthritis. If you have any problem, you can ask. And otherwise, I will move on the gout because I have only 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes I have left. Is there any problem? Please write say yes or no. Can we move? Am I audible? Janus kinase inhibitors are Kartikeya are the part of conventional DMARDs. Irrespective of methotrexate, we have to start therapy with it. Matlab, I don't get your question. Matlab, in any case, if the patient is rheumatoid arthritis, you have diagnosed the case, you have to start with methotrexate. Now pharmacotherapy of the gout. I think gout you have already at least तुम्हें कुछ idea होगा because you have covered in biochemistry also. So you know it's a hyperuricemic condition. There is the deposition of the monosodium urate crystal in the first metatarsophalangeal joint. Usually patient जो acute gout का होता है वो history देता है कि मैं रात को सोया था अचानक उसके पैर में बहुत तेज दर्द हुआ अंगूठे में particularly अंगूठा word he is using and तो और रात में ही होता है एंड आप जब माइक्रोस्कोपी से देखते हो तो निडल लाइक स्ट्रक्चर जो मोनोसोडियम यूरेट क्रिस्टल जो होते हैं वो निडल लाइक चमकदार सी निडल लाइक क्रिस्टल की तरह दिखाई देते हैं. सो और ये यूरिक एसिड मेटाबॉलिज्म के में मतलब disarrangement in uric acid metabolism, either it is due to the increased synthesis of the uric acid or decreased excretion of the uric acid. So I think this much you have already have knowledge. No, for pathogenesis of rheumatoid arthritis, RA factor actually either there is a presence of the RA factor antibody or since it is an autoimmune disease, so there can be other antibody also which can stimulate it, and that is why RA factor is not present in every patient of rheumatoid arthritis. So it is not the must part for the pathogenesis of the rheumatoid arthritis, but yes, it is a very good prognostic factor. And अगर RA वाली antibody नहीं होगी तो body autoimmune disease है तो दूसरी antibody होगी which can initiate the disease. So definitely it is not a must part, but yes, it can be. Okay. So gout, it's a disorder. Gout is a disorder of purine metabolism in which plasma uric acid concentration is raised either due to overproduction or impaired excretion of the uric acid. ये आपको पता है. Then it is characterized by intermittent attack of acute arthritis, which is produced by deposition of monosodium urate crystal in the joint. And primary gout mainly occur due to hyperuricemia. Secondary gout मतलब leukemia है तो cell ज्यादा लाइसिस हो रहा है तो ज्यादा यूरिक एसिड बन रहा है, या फिर थोड़ी सी कोई ड्रग्स है लाइक आपकी डायूरेटिक ड्रग्स वो हाइपरयूरिसीमिया कर देती हैं, या कैंसर कीमोथेरेपी चल रही है दैट कॉजेस लाइसिस ऑफ द सेल, तो दैट कैन लीड टू द हाइपरयूरिसीमिया. या क्रोनिक रीनल फेलियर है तो यूरिक एसिड निकलेगा कैसे, तो दैट विल लीड टू द गाउट. एंड so this is the first metatarsophalangeal joint is used most commonly involved. There is a deposition of the monosodium urate crystal. If you see in the microscope, they are appearing as the shiny needle structure, and it causes mostly pain in the night. So this is from your biochemistry book is only that there are RNA, DNA, cell lysis हुआ, purine निकले, purine से hypoxanthine converted into xanthine by the enzyme xanthine oxidase, and xanthine is converted into the uric acid by again xanthine oxidase. So we can inhibit the synthesis of the uric acid by inhibiting the enzyme xanthine oxidase, and for this we have the drug allopurinol. which itself inhibit the xanthine oxidase, as well as it is metabolized into alloxanthine, which also inhibit the enzyme xanthine oxidase. Then we have also developed one more drug, febuxostate, which is also xanthine oxidase inhibitor. इसको आप ऐसे याद रख सकते हो, XO word आ रहा है, xanthine oxidase. That also inhibit the xanthine oxidase inhibitor. Then uric acid से blood में गए, blood से hyperuricemia हुआ, और दूसरी तरफ excretion. तो अगर हम इसका excretion बढ़ा दें, तो general pharmacology में I think you people have covered the probenecid and effect of probenecid on the organic transporters. So we will cover these parts in the coming slide. Pathophysiology, a prerequisite leading to gout, uric acid and product of purine metabolism. Hypoxanthine by xanthine oxidase converted into xanthine, and this xanthine is converted into the uric acid by xanthine oxidase again, and this uric acid is insoluble. Now causes, there can be under excretion, there can be overproduction, under excretion renal disease or chronic drug therapy भी जो हो सकती है, overproduction, increased purine turnover. Acute gout में drugs. For the acute gout, we have NSAIDs. The indomethacin is usually we prefer, but can be used any NSAID, which can be diclofenac, naproxen, piroxicam, etoricoxib. But try not to, extend the treatment for very long, because NSAID can cause gastritis. Then we have colchicine. It is the most effective drug in the gout, but we do not prefer it and we do not start it. Why? Because colchicine, the major side effect of the colchicine, it causes very, very bad diarrhea and myopathy. So it should not be preferred. We have glucocorticoids as well. Then we have uricosuric drug, which increase the excretion of the uric acid, probenecid, sulfenpyrazole, vansbromel. We have uric acid synthesis inhibitor, allopurinol, febuxostate, respiricase. Chronic gout is basically treatment एकदम मतलब sorry जो पेन होता है ना वो sudden पेन एकदम start होता है, बहुत तेज लाल हो जाता है पूरा first metatarsophalangeal joint, and the patient report to. In the chronic gout, these repeating attacks of the acute gout type, मतलब एक है उसे hyperuricemia की condition है, and that उसे वो मतलब that thing is repeatedly occurs, so that's the chronic gout. As such कोई differentiating वो नहीं दिया है, but yes chronic gout चलता है, उसमें एकदम acute attack का वो आता है, एकदम बहुत ज्यादा हो जाता है और फिर एकदम अंगूठे में पेन होता है, and the patient report to. So it's not very clear cut like this कि ये acute gout हो गई, ये chronic gout हो गया, जैसे हम failure में पढ़ते हैं heart failure में. So it's not like that, compensatory mechanism and all other things. But chronic gout chronic है, उससे बीच-बीच में acute gout के attack आ जाते हैं जब एकदम pain बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है and redness and swelling of the joint. That's the problem. So acute gouty arthritis, the first drug एकदम patient आया report करा, पूरा जो फर्स्ट मेटाटार्सोफैलेंजियल जॉइंट है वो रेड है, स्वलन है और पेन है बहुत ज्यादा. रात में पेशेंट ने आपको रिपोर्ट किया है. व्हाट विल यू गिव NSAIDs. अब एक्यूट गाउट का अटैक सबसाइड हो गया, तो अब उसके बाद क्रोनिक गाउट की ट्रीटमेंट शुरू, ठीक है. बट द फर्स्ट पॉइंट इज यू हैव टू ट्रीट द एक्यूट गाउट. सडन जो एक आउटबर्स्ट आया है उसको ट्रीट करना है. दैट इज NSAID. यू ऑलरेडी नो इट्स इनहिबिशन करती है कॉक्स का. So by inhibiting the COX, it inhibits the prostaglandin enzyme and thereby it reduces the inflammation at the site. Then indomethacin, it also inhibits the phosphodiesterase enzyme, and you know phosphodiesterase is responsible for the degradation of the cyclic AMP. So the cyclic AMP level increase, and this cyclic AMP stabilize the lysosomal membrane and prevent the release of various enzymes, which further causes the bone erosion. Then colchicine is basically mitotic spindle inhibitor. So it inhibits the division of the cell, inflammatory cell, recruitment of the granulocyte, and prevent their migration at the site of inflammation. So it's the most effective and the fastest acting drug, but we should not prefer it. We only prefer it जब effect नहीं आ रहा होगा तब colchicine देते हैं, otherwise colchicine को avoid ही करते हैं. The problem with colchicine is causes nausea, vomiting and diarrhea, and these are the earliest sign of colchicine toxicity, and drug should be immediately stopped. Other than that, myopathy and kidney damage are also serious side effects. So the drug has very serious side effects, so we should avoid it. Then glucocorticoids limit recruitment of inflammatory cell at the local site. फॉस्फोलाइपेज A2 को इनहिबिट करता है, तो एरेक्टोनिक एसिड जो मेम्ब्रेन फॉस्फोलिपिड है वो एरेक्टोनिक एसिड में नहीं बदल पाता, और जब मेम्ब्रेन फॉस्फोलिपिड एरेक्टोनिक एसिड में नहीं बनेगा तो एरेक्टोनिक एसिड से प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन ल्यूकोट्राइन्स कुछ बनेगा ही नहीं. So glucocorticoid inhibits the phospholipase A2. Then addition and localization of the leukocytes. Uses, you can use it as an intraarticular injection in case of refractory case and in patients who do not tolerate NSAIDs. Then systemic steroid, highly effective and rapid response as colchicine, used in patients with renal failure, peptic ulcer in whom NSAIDs are contraindicated. Then coming to the chronic gout. Chronic gout में अब बंदे को hyperuricemia है, long time से है. Now you have to treat this hyperuricemia part. In acute gout, you have to treat the pain part, whereas in the chronic gout, you have to treat the hyperuricemia part. And for hyperuricemia, uric acid synthesis inhibitor and uric acid excreter. So allopurinol, I told you, allopurinol, what it do? It inhibits this enzyme xanthine oxidase. So hypoxanthine is not converted to the uric acid. Allopurinol itself and its metabolite alloxanthine also inhibit the xanthine oxidase enzyme, and both combinedly inhibit the uric acid production. It also facilitates the dissolution of tophi, prevents development of chronic gouty arthritis. अगर आपसे drug of choice पूछा जाता है acute gout, then indomethacin or any other kind of NSAID is the answer. But if the drug of choice is the chronic gout, then allopurinol would be the answer. Then drug interaction, because two drugs which you will cover in your chemotherapy part, 6-mercaptopurine and 6-azathioprine. These are the two drugs which are metabolized by xanthine oxidase, and since allopurinol inhibits the xanthine oxidase enzyme, so allopurinol has the potential to increase the concentration of the 6-mercaptopurine as well as azathioprine. So whenever the patient is taking allopurinol, the dose of azathioprine and 6-mercaptopurine would be decreased to 1/3 of its original dose. And then uses, the purpose of allopurinol is to reduce the uric acid concentration. It is available as oral and intravenous use. It is a drug of choice for the chronic gout, for both overproducers and under-excretors. In case of secondary hyperuricemia, जब आप कीमोथेरेपी देते हो तो सेल लाइसिस होगा तो डीएनए आरएनए रिलीज होंगे, डीएनए आरएनए रिलीज होंगे तो प्यूरिन रिलीज होगा तो यूरिक एसिड बनेगा. तो अब उस यूरिक एसिड को सिंथेसिस को कम करने के लिए या कीमोथेरेपी को सहन करने के लिए यू कैन ऐड allopurinol. Adverse effect, drowsiness, hypersensitivity, etc. Then febuxostate, it is also acts similarly as allopurinol by inhibiting the xanthine oxidase, but it's a newer drug, and it is particularly given in those patients who are intolerant to the allopurinol. And since it also causes liver function abnormality, so should be monitored periodically. Then rest-based uricase. What happens in birds? Uric acid is converted into the uric acid insoluble होता है. Uric acid bird में uric oxidase enzyme से बदल जाता है allantoin में, and this allantoin is soluble or this will be excreted out. So that's the same mechanism we try to incorporate in humans. So what we do, we develop one drug which is the recombinant uric oxidase, that is uricase. So I am repeating again, in birds what happens, the uric acid is converted into allantoin by the enzyme uric oxidase or uricase. ये लिखा है ना uricase, ये वाला एंजाइम uricase, इससे जो है वो allantoin में बदल जाता है. Allantoin is a soluble one, so it is excreted out. So the same mechanism we try to incorporate in human, and we develop recombinant uricase enzyme which is known as uricase, and so it converted the uric acid to the allantoin and allantoin excreted out. So indicated for initial management of the elevated plasma uric acid level in pediatric patients with leukemia, lymphoma and solid tumor malignancies. पैगलोटिकेज ये भी सिमिलरली रिकॉम्बिनेंट यूरिक एसिड एंजाइम ही है, यूरिकेज एंजाइम है, बट इसको पैगलाइटेटेड कर दिया। पैगलाइटेटेड करने का मतलब क्या होता है, उसकी जो ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एक्शन है उसको हम बढ़ा देते हैं। जो भी कहीं भी पैगलाइटेटेड वर्ड यूज होएगा उसका मतलब है कि उसका ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एक्शन हमने उसे पैगलाइटेटेड कर दिया है, तो उसका ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एक्शन बढ़ गया। नाउ कमिंग टू द यूरिक एसिड एजेंट प्रोबिनासिड, ऑल्दो ये आपको ज्यादा क्लियर होना चाहिए, बट जनरल फार्मा में यू हैव रीड कि जब एक्सक्रीशन पार्ट आपने पढ़ा होगा देन कि उसमें ऑर्गेनिक ट्रांसपोर्टर्स होते हैं, और जो ये ऑर्गेनिक ट्रांसपोर्टर्स होते हैं इनका क्या फंक्शन होता है कि ये जो भी एंडोजिनस प्रोडक्ट है उसको तो रिटेन करते हैं, और जो भी एक्सोजिनस प्रोडक्ट है उसको दिस नॉनसेंस यार कि ये नवीन यादव, व्हाई आर यू सेंडिंग मी योर नेम? So जो ऑर्गेनिक ट्रांसपोर्टर्स होते हैं that their function is that they retain the endogenous substance and excreted out the exogenous substance. For example, पेंसिलिन है, पेंसिलिन क्या है, बॉडी के लिए तो एक्सोजेनस सब्सटेंस है, तो ऑर्गेनिक एसिड ट्रांसपोर्टर क्या करेंगे, वो चाहेंगे पेंसिलिन बाहर निकल जाए, तो व्हाट दे डू, दे एक्सक्रीटेड आउट पेंसिलिन। अब हम क्या करते हैं, पेंसिलिन को प्रोबिन एसिड के साथ देते हैं। अब प्रोबिन एसिड और पेंसिलिन दोनों को ऑर्गेनिक एसिड ट्रांसपोर्टर पे बाइंड करना है। अब प्रोबिन एसिड की ज्यादा एफिनिटी है, प्रोबिन एसिड जो है वो ऑर्गेनिक एसिड ट्रांसपोर्टर की बाइंडिंग साइट पे बाइंड कर गई। अब पेंसिलिन को तो वो जगह मिली नहीं, तो अब पेंसिलिन को जब वो जगह नहीं मिली तो पेंसिलिन तो अब सिक्रीट ही, अब तो एक्सक्रीट आउट होगी नहीं, तो पेंसिलिन बॉडी में रह जाएगी, तो पेंसिलिन की ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एक्शन बढ़ जाएगी। इसके अपोजिटली यूरिक एसिड क्या है, यूरिक एसिड है एंडोजिनस सब्सटेंस। नॉर्मली क्या होता है, ट्यूब्यूल में यूरिक एसिड आता है, ऑर्गेनिक एसिड ट्रांसपोर्टर्स को पता है कि भाई ये तो अपने ही आदमी है, मतलब एंडोजिनस सब्सटेंस है। व्हाट दे विल डू, दे विल टेक यूरिक एसिड एंड देन दे रिटेन इट इनटू द बॉडी। बट जब हम प्रोबिन एसिड दे देते हैं तो क्या हो जाता है, प्रोबिन एसिड दे देते हैं तो प्रोबिन एसिड बाइंड कर जाती है ऑर्गेनिक ट्रांसपोर्टर पे। अब यूरिक एसिड आएगा भी तो भी वो बाइंड नहीं कर सकता क्योंकि ऑलरेडी प्रोबिन एसिड बाइंड है, तो अब जब वो बाइंड नहीं करेगा तो वो ट्यूब्यूल के रास्ते ही निकल के यूरिन में पास आउट हो जाएगा। सो हाउ डज प्रोबिन एसिड एक्ट फॉर एंडोजिनस सब्सटेंस, वो रिटेंशन कराती है, सॉरी ऑर्गेनिक एसिड ट्रांसपोर्टर फॉर एक्सोजिनस सब्सटेंस एक्सक्रीशन कराती है। प्रोबिन एसिड इनहिबिट कर देती है ऑर्गेनिक एसिड ट्रांसपोर्टर सिस्टम को, तो एंडोजिनस सब्सटेंस दैट इज यूरिक एसिड का रिटेंशन नहीं हो पाता, और जब रिटेंशन नहीं हो पाएगा तो यूरिक एसिड विल एक्सक्रीटेड आउट। But liberal fluid intake should be maintained to minimize the risk of renal stone because uric acid मैंने आपसे कहा वो soluble नहीं होता, insoluble होता है। तो अगर आप यूरिक एसिड निकलता जाएगा और आप पानी नहीं पियोगे तो यूरिक एसिड के स्टोन बन जाएंगे। तो साथ में प्रोबिन एसिड के साथ this must be added कि liberal fluid intake should be there because uric acid excreted out होगा। Adverse effect not very much significant, GI irritation, dyspepsia, hypersensitivity and rashes। 40 to 80 मिलीग्राम की डोज है and it can and that's all about the gout drugs. So if you have any problem you can ask, I will repeat. If you have any do you have any problem? Am I audible? किसी का आंसर दे दो, yes or no? Actually, there is no need to learn the biologics table, whole table, but you have to remember the name and their root and their main side effects. Because tumor necrosis factor alpha inhibitors, you can get a very important question and you can get short note on tumor necrosis factor alpha inhibitors. All biologics में तो इतना नहीं आता, TNF alpha inhibitor तो आता है tumor necrosis factor alpha.